right there. That's crazy. Oh yeah, that's all good. I got the noise canceling on. We good? Yeah. Well, go ahead. Okay, a minute. No. So when they say hand, that's the seaweed wrap and just the protein and everything in. Right. So a hand roll is outside in. So the wrap is on the outside. So the fish is on the inside. They wrap it in food. Yeah, that's what a hand roll is. And, regular rolls, yeah. Right on the outside. Yeah, it's only hand rolls. Yeah. And then when we order the omakase, that's like chef's choice. That's like 7 or 8 courses. Awesome thing. Yeah, I'll be right back. Let me get on this call. I didn't even know you were in there. It was so quiet.
I don't know why that music kind of fires me up a little bit. Y'all are a little bit fired up. Let's go ahead and unmute, get ready to do this thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Y'all
I was
feeling
just
y'all
like,
feeling fired up?
Yeah, let's go.
Hey, welcome in, fam. I'm Ronell Richards. I am joined by my co-founders, Kelly Ballou McMillan and Nathan Cavill, and we are the team behind Legacy. We are the team that is helping Black and Brown people enter into the technology channel and live out their dreams. Now, I wish it were that simple, right? It's not that simple. There's work that goes into that. There is a strategy that has to go into that. And why don't we start just there? Before we go into that, actually, let me just set the tone for today's call so you guys know what to expect. Number one, if you have not gone to legacytsd.com, please go to legacytsd.com where you can learn a little bit more about what it is that we do. If you're someone that would be a great candidate to be an applicant in one of our cohorts, please apply right now. We're accepting applications. If you are someone that is interested in being a supplier in our program, there's a button for that as well. Please apply. We are taking applications right now. Okay. So make sure that you do that. As we kind of get this thing started, Nate, if you can just really briefly in your corporate speak, tell the people what it is that Legacy is doing.
My name is Nathan Cavill. I'm the COO of Legacy. Good morning, good afternoon. Legacy is really on a journey to transform the way that we deliver solutions to customers and small business. We're in the process of selling solutions from a technology perspective and are uniquely qualified to do so. So we leverage the sales and technology background of Ronell and Kelly to basically simplify the third-party sales process for you. That creates opportunity. So that's what Legacy is all about, is teaching you to create your own book of business in the tech sector and solving business solutions for small customers, small business.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Nate. And what we'll be doing on this call today is getting into a couple of topics that are important to the community and kind of giving our take on those things. Before we do that, Kelly, as our CTO and head of the supplier relationships and supplier management, could you give our audience just a little bit of a heads up or give them a little description of what a good supplier or partner looks like for Legacy?
Oh man, I love that question, Ronell. So thank you. And thank you everybody for joining us. A good vendor partner to me is someone who, really values what we're bringing to the table. These are partners that our community partners are new to the channel. They're not new to technology, but they are new to the channel, which means that this is a brand new group of not only people that you're going to be working with, entrepreneurs that you'll be working with, but also a new customer list and a new customer, new verticals or new entries into verticals via this customer list and these unique relationships that our partners are bringing to the table. So I want some respect around that, right? This is a community who understands technology, but they are choosing to sell through our community partners because of those relationships. And you have first interaction with them. So, a good vendor partner to me is someone who is listening as well as educating, who is open to being creative about resources and strategy, and who is going to be consistent and dependable for our cohort members, our community members to be able to interact with, not only just when it comes to quotes or whatever, but for questions and for getting the right team in front of their end customers. So, I just had an amazing meeting this week with David DT over at Spectrum VoIP. So shout out to him. We had an amazing lunch yesterday and we really talked about that, and someone who believes in our vision. And David said that obviously off the strength of a relationship that he had with Ronell, but also he believes in what it means to bring new talent to the channel, and also specifically in the Black community, and ensuring that they have visibility to everything that our current partners do. So I'm excited for bringing those type of vendor partnerships to this space.
Hey, thanks for that, Kelly. And what a great way to describe what a relationship looks like with Legacy and what we're looking for. Coincidentally, I had a meeting yesterday with the Young Channel Leaders group. Just a group of just young folks that are trying to make their way in the channel. And one of the things that we talked about was the lack of development in technology, right? Development in terms of investing in people and their careers, and creating onboarding and creating plans to help them to grow. And that's why we see a lot of movement in technology right now. Folks jumping from here and there, chasing opportunities because they don't necessarily see that path for them in the companies that they're working for, and that is a problem that we absolutely are solving for
Mhm.
with Legacy, and we're looking for suppliers that have that same mindset. They are about development. They're about investing, and they get it. They get that if you invest in people, you invest in people's development, that they will be there for you and be a partner of yours for the long haul. And those are the sort of suppliers that we're looking for in our program. All right, so let's hop into the topics of the day. Are y'all ready for this? So that you guys know that are watching this on YouTube, on LinkedIn, wherever you're watching, um, I give my partners here little to no prep. So y'all are getting like with the good, the bad, and ugly. However they answer it is how it is. So, but fortunately, they are super talented and very intelligent people. So I haven't stumped them yet, but let's see today. Our the first question, the first topic that I want to talk about, guys, is Black entrepreneurship. I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time, right? And y'all have been in entrepreneurship in different ways, not necessarily the exact same as me. That's why I'm literally looking forward to how you guys answer this. But I'd love if you could share something that you feel like, hey, nobody prepared me for, nobody prepared me for. I wasn't thinking about this, or that this would potentially be a challenge when in stepping out in faith to be an entrepreneur. And Kelly made me say that Nate has to go first in the pre-show. So Nate, you're up.
The coin flip. All right, I'm up. So I think one of the most difficult and by the way, I'm a relatively new entrepreneur. This is my seventh year hanging out my own shingle in various capacities. And so for me, I would say personally and professionally, one of the things is just the perseverance in setting up your own infrastructure, right? How do I establish my business, my LLC, my EIN? How do I get registered appropriately? So the infrastructure piece while you're trying to establish a book of business. And so that's one of the pieces. The second piece is mentorship. There's no clear blueprint for how to start a small business, but specifically in this space. One of our biggest value props is the fact that we vet these technology companies. We understand the products and how they're positioned. We know the stories in terms of the stories of the companies that we partner with, as well as the solutions. And so I think we cut a tremendous amount of the learning curve out. But I would say I would call it learning curve slash mentorship. Number two is that I didn't have a whole lot of that in starting my first few businesses. And then the third part is just being prepared for the long days, and they can be lonely. And one of the things is, we have each other as founders, the three of us, but also in the spirit and the model of what we're doing with Legacy, it's about experiential peer learning and peer feedback. So we have spent a lot of time on process and facilitating a community so that you don't just learn from us, you learn from your peers. So I think those are the three big distinctions in terms of, number one, the challenges that Black entrepreneurs have, but number two, how we've solved for that with Legacy.
Man, Kelly, you are regretting that now, aren't you? You're like, man, I'm gonna put Nate on the spot, and then Nate took all the heat. Jesus, Nate.
Good things. Goodness. No, but I love that though, because you did identify, especially the going at it alone. I'll start in the last one that you said. I think setting up a business, there's enough resources out there for you to figure out like what pieces you're going to need to do what, right? There's enough education. But going at it alone, sometimes going at it alone is something that I think we do too frequently, or not having discernment around the people that we do bring into the space to go at it with, right? And I think that that's just partnerships, period. But I think you spent enough time on that. What I want to do is talk about lack of resources and understanding when to do the right collab, right? So like to me, as a Black business owner, and I'm not going to say small, but a Black business owner, we don't really research the amount of resources that are out there, right? We think we have to bootstrap this with our own dollars, with our own money. Like I've seen in social this past couple of weeks and really months how many businesses have folded because they have been doing it for 12, 24, 36 months on their savings, right? Which I think is commendable. But there are banks out here. There are credit cards out here. It's like we need some financial planning and education around some financial literacy, excuse me, around how to leverage these other resources both financially and also how to stand up a solid business and understanding who our audience is, what verticals we're going to work with, and not getting above our skis too soon. So I think those two things go together for me. And then when I talk about collabs, I really got to talk about discernment and collaborations. And so for me, lately, as we know, we're in a very interesting economic space here in the States, right? And I would say globally too, but certainly here in the States. And so a lot of businesses don't have the same amount of people supporting them. They don't have the same amount of cash flow coming in. And so what they're doing is kind of getting back to the basics of bartering. And that's where collabs come in, right? So expanding your reach through a partnership that's going to get into their community and impact your community too. And I think we got to do a better job at that. But it needs to be, you have to have some discernment about who you're doing business with as much as possible. And before you make that decision, because it will impact your brand. So that's where I'll leave it.
I think that was great direction and advice from both of y'all. Tremendous insight. One of the themes I think I heard just through the whole thing was that, actually, before I say this, I'll preface it with this. The most successful small businesses in terms of tenure, I'm not talking about in terms of profitability or any, just the amount of time in business, are franchises. Think about that. Why is that? Because they're creating a go-to-market strategy for you. There's a plan and you're executing that plan. Now, in terms of profitability and building legacy, it's probably not going to happen with any franchise. Like, you got the people that I know that have been successful in franchises, they got like 10, 11, 12 of them, right? But when you're getting into a traditional entrepreneurial vehicle that's not like a franchise, a lot of people struggle because you don't know what you don't know, right? And so not having a strategy, not having a plan based upon experience and expertise, wisdom, all those things that come with getting your head knocked in for a while, that's what a lot of folks end up not successful because of that. Okay, here's my piece of advice. So I think that one of the things that I learned very early on, and most people learn this, is they overvalue their existing network and their existing relationships. They think that they're going to, all these people that are part of your community, part of your network, going to go to bat for you. They're going to do business with you. They're going to spend money with you. And because of that, they don't create a strong cold outreach strategy to go get new people, to go get new relationships, to go get new business, because they think that their buddy is going to support them. And unfortunately, for whatever reasons, not going to get into that on this call, but you'll find that a lot of the people you think are going to support you the way that you expect them to support you are not going to support you the way that you think they're going to support you. All right, next topic. If anyone disagrees with me, go ahead and put it in the comments. Ronell, you're wrong. And I'll say, prove it. Prove it. All right, next topic for you, my friends. So why, this topic is, why aren't more talented Black professionals building businesses, in your opinion? What is it that's keeping these talented folks from stepping out and starting to create legacies like we've been talking about? And Kelly, you're up.
So two things, but they kind of are rooted in the same thing: fear. I think that it's fear of the unknown, which I think is just a human challenge altogether. But it's more so like fear because they either have seen it So they're concerned that maybe somebody's already done it before and they don't know if they should move in that same lane. Or for most of us, and especially when you lean on like intelligent, folks who have a really good idea, is that they haven't seen it before. So a lot of times it's exposure, and it's not having exposure to what this might look like and having to traverse this, path on your own, when you don't have to. If you take into consideration what we just talked about, right? Nate, you talked about mentorship. I talked about resources. Ronell, you talked about getting creative with, your audience and your outreach, right? So if you have all those things, and you should be able to move forward. But I believe that it's just a fear of the unknown.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that, said a little differently, the risk and reward ratio, right? So the fear part certainly covers the reward and can cover, or certainly covers the risk and can be a part of the perceived reward. And what we're trying to do here is build generational wealth. And so there has to be a certain amount of risk to reach generational wealth, right? The question is, we've been able to mitigate some of those issues and fears and concerns outright by process. But number two is the second hard lesson, I think, for most career people or entrepreneurs, is learning to bet on yourself, right? By definition, entrepreneurship is betting on yourself. But I think things like access to capital, I think getting over the discomfort of flying without a safety net or a very little operating safety net, right? Meaning investing your savings or quitting your full-time job to focus on standing up your business. All of those are betting on yourself, right? And then, I don't think it's a lack of self-confidence. I think it's a lack of learning how to direct your energy and overcome those fears.
Risk, fear. Life is a risk. Life is a risk.
Absolutely.
Few weeks ago, y'all are aware. A few weeks ago, lost a friend. Right? We've all lost people recently. I lost a friend, 53 years old, and didn't wake up. Right? Life is a risk.
Life is a risk.
So and the old how the term goes, fear is a lie. Fear is a lie. What I mean by that, it doesn't mean that these things that we're afraid of aren't real, but in reality, they're not nearly as scary as we think they are. Here's what I mean by that. I've looked the lion in his mouth. I looked the lion in its mouth as it relates to business failure, and it was terrifying. And I am still here.
Absolutely.
What have I learned from that? There are very few things that are unrecoverable from it, except not waking up tomorrow. That's unrecoverable, right? But you can recover. You can recover from darn near anything. So in saying that, what I'm trying to help people to understand is that I've tried to live my life by this model of regretting what I do and not what I don't do, because I don't want to end up at the end thinking, hey, what would have happened if I tried this? Oh man, no, I don't have any of those regrets. So, some of them didn't work out. And we can't guarantee that people, when they step out on faith and get involved in legacy, that they're going to win. I can't guarantee your success. One thing I can guarantee is your education. Absolutely. You're going to come out of it as a better person. You might take an L, you might have a huge win, you might build that legacy that we're going to help you to build. But however it is for you, you will have learned from it. And that's what I've got through my entrepreneurial journey, is that education. It's made me a better person. It's made me a better father. It's made me a better spouse, a better son, all of those things. So I would say that everything y'all said, legit, 100%. Fear, risk, yep, all true. But who do you want to be? That's what I would ask people at the end of the day. Which one do you want to be? And those are the people that we're looking for are the people that, hey, I'll stare that lion in its mouth. If you don't want to stare the lion in his mouth, don't try. keep moving. Stay with your safety. This isn't for you.
I mean, I don't know. So I had to share this thing that happened to me over the weekend. So this past weekend, I had the opportunity to speak to a beautiful set of Black women at the University of Texas as a part of a conference called Her Script. And so it was an amazing group. But on my way there, I was bringing some women with me. They're in their 30s or but 20s. They just turned, two of them just turned 30. And so I say that to say, like, I'm headed in. I go to get the car wash. I have a conversation with this gentleman at the car wash. He's like in his 60s, worked for the government, whatever, doesn't have a passport,
Mm.
doesn't care to travel. I mean, he wants to travel and they'll do short trips, but he ain't interested in leaving the country, right? Doesn't really care to be in the clouds. Um, the young lady on the way back, two of them are falling asleep. Then the other one is in the back, and we start talking about travel, and she doesn't care to travel either. She doesn't care to be in the clouds. And so when you talk about risk and reward, for me, for us, we're always on a plane somewhere. Literally, we are always in the
Yeah,
clouds as an
absolutely.
elimination. And they are fine being rooted to the ground because that is safety for them. Now, granted, they have success in different places. The young lady that I'm talking about actually is a co-founder. She founded a whole app, right? But she also has the security of her full-time job, but like a lot of us do, we have income from different places. But this other gentleman I'm talking about, he's like, absolutely not. I just drove all the way over to Georgia and then drove down to Florida and then drove back, right? So I think that, when you say it's not for you, I think that I, I, I agree. And also, I just think that everybody has to find their own journey to what reward looks like, right? What their impact on this world looks like. And some of us are going to live in the clouds and we're going to figure it out. And some of us are going to just do it on the ground.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's risk equals opportunity, right? And so what I hear you saying is, hey, that person might be comfortable with their opportunities in that finite space. If you want bigger opportunities, you might have to take more risk, or you might have to fish in different ponds. And so I hear you. It's a values call and a timing and life call.
I like that you said values for sure, because it is certainly that. And timing, because it's a lot. This is over 2 years for us, right? So this is a practice today, but I know that it's going to be full of reward, not only for us, but the community that we're impacting.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say to that is, you know, it takes something. Now there are different levels of entrepreneurship, and in our model there are different levels as well, right? Like where people can stay in their gig or they can go full in. There's different ways of approaching it, but that overall level of courage and willingness to face the fear is it's a non-negotiable, and understanding what's rational and what isn't rational. So given like the example that you just gave of those two people, right? Is that a rational fear or irrational fear? I'm going to give you all the
It's just a
numbers.
fear.
I'm going to give you the numbers. Your odds of dying in a car crash are
Oh,
between
yeah.
1 in 95 to 1
True,
in 107.
true.
Your odds of dying in a airplane crash are 1 in 11 million.
Yeah.
But so here's the thing. I don't necessarily think it's a fear of flying as much as I think it's a security of familiarity, right? They have a security of familiarity, which means that their risk bubble is a lot smaller than our risk bubble, right? And I think that that's where you're talking about levels of, even if we're going to go back to talk about entrepreneurship, there's levels to this. And it doesn't mean
Sure.
that it's not for you. It just means that, okay, then yours is probably going to be limited to the pond that you're limited to because you're not willing to go outside of that. But
Yeah.
hope you can still find success there. It's
Yeah.
just going to be different than maybe what someone else might be looking for.
No doubt. No doubt. And I follow you in that. I just feel like as we are, all the work that we've done in prepping and preparing for setting people up to success, a big part of that is making sure that we have a process to not only vet, but you guys built competencies, Nate's built competencies and everything we go through to help to make sure that we are placing people and putting them in a position to be successful, even against, I mean, by recognizing qualities, by recognizing the psychology and and tendencies that maybe they don't even recognize. Like, they could think, for example, that previous, I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but that previous example, like, let's just say, like, we had a situation where that person's put in a situation where they could, be really successful in a role, right? But that role would require them to fly. So, right? And they're just not, for whatever reason, they're like, no, I got to drive. Well, then you're a good person. That's a good opportunity, but it just ain't for you. And I think that people will be more successful in their businesses and their lives in general if they just are honest with themselves and intentional. And we are trying to be as honest as possible with people. Like, we've interviewed people that is, and some of them aren't going to be a good fit, and that's okay. It doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make us good. But I think overall, when putting a bow around this, what I want people to take from this is the amount of intentionality that we have around partnership and the work that y'all have done and we continue to do to make sure that there's alignment, not just with our suppliers, but with our cohort members and anyone that gets involved in the legacy community. All right, I think we're at the bottom of the half. So with that said, I want to encourage everyone. This will give you guys some last, let Kelly get some last thoughts real quick, but I want to encourage everybody to go to legacytsd.com. Again, cohort applications are open and partnership applications. Kelly, any last words from you?
I would just say that in reflection of the conversation that we have is, at the end of the day, it's like, find your people. Find your community. I know that sounds cliche or whatever, like everybody says it, but it's true, right? There's a community out there that will support your level of risk and reward. Go find them.
Mm-hmm. I would say learning to bet on yourself. If I had learned that early in my career might be different. But again, to Ronell's point, I don't have any regrets. I've left it on the battlefield from a corporate perspective and was ready to try something different. But with that big leap 7 years ago was learning to bet on myself.
And I guess I'll just add to that. First, go to legacytsd.com. 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 All right. Last thing is that we don't know how much time we have. Okay? We don't know. So think about that as you're deciding when to bet on yourself or when to not bet on yourself. Your time, unless y'all have some precogs. Is that what they had in that one movie? Y'all got precogs and know when your last day is. Could be tomorrow. So take advantage of today. Live for today. All right. legacytsd.com. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. Fam,